It's great to meet you, and I want to begin our conversation with, before we get into your life and your work and your passion, we lived through a pandemic the last 3.5 years. How did you get through that time period, and how did it change you now that things have opened up and gotten back to some level of what we were used to?
Um, Mostly it was just learning how the perceptions of people's reality. So everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone will voice their opinion, and everyone will want you to know what they're thinking. So life and business is a collection of trying to be as tolerant and understanding as possible. We got through it by allowing people to have their opinion. Unfortunately, there are too many people who are angry about certain issues, and won't allow others to have their opinions. So everyone wants to rush to judgment, and the smart thing to do is take a step back, evaluate the situations, because every day presents a new situation and every day presents a new possibility. And what we really found out was people really wanted to rush to judgment and have that immediate, oh, well, this is the answer. And we really never truly knew the answers.
Yeah,
So people are in a hurry. They want to rush to judgment, they want to rush to the answers. But sometimes it's take a deep breath first. First of all, breathing helps with COVID.
yeah.
And observe. We don't do enough observing. We want to be the person answering all the questions. And I found out that, especially in business and in life, if we observe more, we actually find the answers come to us, because through our eyesight, we're just looking around, we'll see the possibilities. And
Absolutely.
we do that.
Well said. So let's get to the essence of what you do. Your passion is fitness. But if I put you in front of a bunch of third grade students and one of them looked up at you, it's career day, and they said, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I'm a life skill development specialist where I help physical education teachers develop better programs for you kids to learn how to have more fun, be better balanced, and use the skills that are going to allow you to be standing in front of your kitchen one day and a cup is going to fall off the shelf, and without even looking you're going to grab it and catch it and not even have to look at it, because your skills are so developed. You in essence become Spider-Man.
So what did you want to be when you were in the third grade? What was your dream?
Everyone's, well, there's three things that people want to be: other, and then uh, famous rock star or a sports player.
Yeah.
I wanted to play. So my favorite baseball player was Ozzie Smith, and I knew that my skill set didn't necessarily lead to that. I wanted to play football. I wanted to be a wide receiver. I grew up in Cincinnati. I saw Chris Collinsworth, who I actually don't like as an announcer, but growing up in Cincinnati, I saw him playing. And I said, if this goofy white guy can play football in the NFL, I can do the same thing. So I was trying to hope to be, which is ironic because now I hate when he announces games because he plays his Philadelphia bias, but for some reason he has a back east bias.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a professional athlete. At around high school, technically college, the dream started to fall apart when injuries started to mount, and I realized I blew up both my ACLs a year apart,
Oh, wow.
which led me on a path to understanding human movement, understanding physical therapy and chiropractic care, and how the body is an amazing vessel. And if we learn to treat it right, if we learn to program it correctly, our bodies can do amazing things. So, in and around 1998, I started realizing that there are paths to improving our balance. There's also more important things than just running fast and being strong. Basically, through college, I had developed to where I was in my peak condition as far as being fast and being powerful, but I never learned how to control that speed. So both of my injuries, but that blew out my knees, were from essentially running with too much force and power to where I didn't know how to stop quick enough. And the
Okay.
body just suffered as a result of that. So I went off on a tangent in my personal life and business life of how can we treat the body better so that it is more reactive. And that led me to working with children because I was working with adults for the longest time. I have a background in also partially teaching at a vocational school, helping personal trainers get certified as personal trainers. Because my original intent was if I teach these trainers how to be good at their job, we can start to help adults be better. But I wasn't reaching enough numbers because each trainer works with, 10 to 20 people a week or whatever. However, what I did realize, if we get to physical education teachers, we can start to affect and help kids when they're in first, second, third, fourth, fifth grades, learn the skills that they'll use throughout their lives. And now we're affecting thousands, hundreds of thousands, nationally, worldwide, realize that we can be our best selves through easy, doable, and not overly strenuous movements, balance, work, and drills.
So you mentioned Ozzie Smith,
Yep.
and what happened to those good old days when dudes would do backflips out onto the field and Morgana would run out to give the guy a kiss? I mean, I just keep thinking about that. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody like come onto the field like that ever.
So, skill set, okay. Baseball was part of the impetus of realizing that we were training wrong. So, baseball players, so Ozzie Smith, amazing natural athlete. And then you had the Mark McGuire's and to some degree, the Albert Pujolses, who started really muscle training and started pulling up lame with hamstring strains. So we started to realize, well, they're getting stronger and bigger, but are we really doing it the most effective way? So now what they've started to do is a more applied science background to training, where it is about learning how to move again and be powerful without these slow bodybuilder style workouts. So if we really think about it, Ozzie Smith sort of led to the belief that this is the better way because he didn't get injured. He was super athletic. You can ask Tom Niedenfuhr. He did have the power to turn on it left-handed, and when he hit that homer, his one homer in his left-handed at bat happened to win the game in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
so.
Right. Yeah.
We learned that there are better ways. Now we also have to understand that physical education and fitness keep evolving, and we need to allow it to keep evolving so that we keep improving. Stretching methods are improving. We're doing more dynamic warm-ups versus the old grab your ankles and stretch your hamstrings. Those methods of static stretching are still around. However, we're learning muscles like rubber bands need to be stretched, need to be pliable. So everyone, if we stretch it as far as we can and let it recoil, stretch it as far as we can and let it recoil, we build that elasticity. We also improve our flexibility and our range of motion better, but we also prevent injury. And it comes down to, at the end of the day, we all want to feel better, move better, and be less injured.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So who's been a hero for you in your life?
Mostly it's mentors that I've had that are not necessarily famous. There's a gentleman out of Vancouver. His name is Peter Twist. I was lucky enough for him to be a mentor. He got his start training Vancouver Canuck hockey players in Canada.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to learn from him. He's a super amazing person, a super grounded person, overcame cancer, one of the nicest, friendliest people in the world, but very out there as far as just genius, as far as using movement to improve performance. And then the person who I take most personal inspiration is a gentleman by the name of Jeff McCarroll. Jeff McCarroll is a former Ranger who actually was in the firefight that led to Black Hawk Down in the movie. So he was there in Somalia, 3-time cancer survivor, started multiple nutrition companies, of which the most famous is Nutrex, which was the #1 nutrition supplement company in the world. And his background is mostly in the bodybuilding world, but through determination and inspiration and motivation, he's overcome cancer 3 times. He's just bad luck, but he is simply the most story based. I have been through this. I keep telling people his life needs to be a movie because he's overcome so much and he's done so much that when I kind of look down, like, oh, you're having a bad day, you look, well, this person keeps doing that. So obviously there's more that I can be doing. So I would say those two, they may not be the most famous people in the world, but for the most part, we take more inspiration from our daily lives than we do from famous people who we really don't relate to.
I
So
agree. I agree. So what is your motivation every day? What gets you out of bed? What gets you to accomplish what you want to get done and ultimately to be you?
I would say my big goal currently, because they do change, I want to see an evolution and a revolution within the physical education world to where the roll the ball out and just go play a game is part of the curriculum, but not the main portion. Playing games is all about having fun, and we should have fun as kids. We should have fun as adults. However, we're missing out a huge opportunity to teach lifelong skill development of balance, stability, and injury prevention so that when we're 45 years old, we don't have the complaint, my balance sucks. I work with adults, I work with kids. For adults, the number one complaint that they have is, I don't like my body. They always want to lose weight, and everyone is unhappy to some degree. The number two complaint, however, that we get is, my balance sucks, because we didn't learn and master it as a kid. We should all be able to stand on one leg without fear of falling. We should all be able to walk down the street, possibly lose our balance, and have great balance and or recovery enough to where we don't trip and fall. Because hip fractures lead to a life expectancy of 2 years after you fracture your hip. When we get older, if we fracture our hip, the statistics say you have about 2 years left of life. That's a very sad, scary statistic.
Wow. Yeah. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Be true to yourself. It's cliche, but you only have to live. Okay, you should love your family. You should try to strive every day to make other people happy. It is true that making other people happy makes you happy. There are selfish people in the world who will take advantage of you trying to make other people happy. However, when you strive to give, you actually get tenfold back. I am lucky enough in my career that I get to work with amazing people who I am trying to give them what I've been lucky enough to accrue over the past 25 years. My favorite profession that I get to do is teaching other physical education teachers how to do what it is I do. So recently I was at a state conference for the state of Arizona called Arizona Health and Physical Education. All this, most of the state teachers come and attend the conference. It's just their yearly organization. So we have 500 to 1,000 teachers trying to do better. So the more that we can help them understand, the better off we are with potentially, hopefully, changing the future of activity for most kids, because we're creating that larger and larger audience. The more audience we have, the more we can help affect change.
So, what's been one of your best success stories?
Um, the fact that I am the first ever executive committee member to be on the state board for Arizona, having not being an actual physical education teacher. So I was the first person voted onto their board, actually never being in the physical education world. I've succeeded at everything I possibly have tried to attempt. My two biggest moments of failure led to my two biggest success stories, where being fired, or technically being laid off, led to my future endeavor of becoming the teacher that I had always dreamed I could be and wanted to be. And I had the impetus of, well, what am I going to do now? And that led to me teaching at the university level within 6 months. And then injury rehab comebacks. Okay. Everyone gets injured. Well, hopefully not everyone. I have had the unfortunate mishaps of tearing my right ACL in the September of 95, of which I was doing full sprints with no brace in 11 weeks. A year later, I tore my left ACL, and I said, okay, I was sprinting at 11 weeks with no brace on it. My goal is to beat that. I then set the record at the physical therapy office that I did, that might still stand to this day, of being fully recovered in 8 weeks.
So you had mentioned being a baseball and a football fan, and I'm going
Yep.
to ask you this. If you could go back in time and see any sporting event, one game with your own eyes, where are you going?
Michael Jordan's 1982 shot against Georgetown.
Oh, wow. Yeah, good choice.
Yeah. So, uh, 1982 formed my sports career, my sports love, my passions. My parents were into sports, but weren't big sporting fans. Like they didn't just watch uh, Thursday night football back before Thursday night football was there. They didn't sit through every college football game on a Saturday. The TV was on Sundays watching games, but it wasn't like that's life and death. So 1982, they watched the big games. So the Dallas Cowboys made the NFC Championship game, and I can remember watching it. The St. Louis Cardinals won the World Series. I can
That's
remember
right.
watching it. That's how I became a St. Louis Cardinal and an Ozzie Smith fan, because he did the flip first game of the playoffs. Okay. So 1982, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan became my favorite player. I became a Chicago Bulls fan. I actually had the luck of attending their last national championship 5, 6 years ago when it was in Phoenix. I got to see them beat Gonzaga, which is a bucket list item.
Yeah.
So all the things I could say, I would want to go to that game. That would be amazing. Now, still on my bucket list is somehow figure out a way to get into a Super Bowl game. It doesn't really matter who. I would like to say it would be the Dallas Cowboys, but I don't expect that to see that happen as long as Jerry Jones is the owner.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, 82, Michael Jordan hitting the game-winning jump shot would be a definite amazing event to see.
I think we lose sight of the fact. I mean, we know that Jordan's legendary, but I think we lose sight of those highlights because he
Yeah,
was spectacular in college. I mean, that's just the way it was. I mean, everything, anytime he got on the court, that was the
yeah.
dude,
So they said that the only person who could hold Michael Jordan to under 20 points a game was Dean Smith.
Oh, wow.
So, and
Interesting.
it's true because he averaged, I think, his freshman year. He was the third option on that team behind Worthy and Sam Perkins. So, no offense, those are two good guys who deserve to be the first and second options. But you did see when it came down to it, that play was pretty much designed for Michael Jordan, and they realized this guy has greatness in his blood.
Yeah.
So
So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight and you ran into the 20-year-old version of you and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point, what advice would you give your younger self?
don't doubt your abilities. You can do everything that you set your mind to. And through setbacks and successes, I have, and I think everyone kind of falls into this, we're always unsure if we can do it. I have proven to myself time and time again that if I simply put in the work, I have the ability to do what I want. I've been fortunate enough to teach internationally because I took a chance. I got to teach, I created a personal trainer curriculum for a school in Bahrain based off of someone doing a social media post saying, "Hey, can anyone help me?" I said to myself, you know what? I could probably create that curriculum. So I got to go teach based off of what I created. I got to live in Bahrain for about a month, teaching in Arabic, even though I don't speak Arabic. I was teaching English. They were teaching in Arabic. And I said, this is what you need to know. The coolest thing was the person, the government official who was there to evaluate, told me, quote unquote, you're the best educator we've ever brought to Bahrain. So that's pretty amazing based off of the fact that I simply believed in my abilities to create a curriculum out of thin air and say, this is what you guys need to understand for being good at your job as personal trainers.
So, Spencer, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Giving to a fault, but quick to cut off when being mistreated. So my brother will tell you that I'm an asshole, but my brother loves me and he understands. It's because someone has to be the person who says that's not the way it's going to be, and I refuse to allow you to walk all over me.
Yeah.
I get quick to, I always tell people, I'm never the first person to be mean, but I'm better at it than you are, because some people just want to essentially pussyfoot around too many subjects and say, whoa, 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 whoa. No, you're being rude and you need to be called out on that.
Yeah.
So I will give and give and give until you make the point and you overstep that boundary. And then I'm very quick to say, that's not the way this is going to work.
Yeah.
So I would have to say that, probably that.
So what's the best thing about living in Yuma, Arizona?
The weather, from absolute 100% the weather.
Yeah.
So from November until May, we have 75 degrees nearly every day.
Wow.
So I moved from San Diego. Everyone loves San Diego. I moved from San Diego to Yuma because the weather is more consistently better here, which is why we get a ton of snowbirds. Half of our population is people coming down from Idaho, Washington, Canada, who want to escape their winters, because consistently we're 75 degrees every day until May.
That's beautiful. Spencer, yeah, if anyone wants to hire you, learn more about you, anything about your world, where can they go?
My website is www.fitnessbasedpe.com. We do all kinds of education, both in person and online. We're trying to help as many people understand that being physically fit is not just going in the weight room and how much can you bicep curl. It's about developing your physical literacy of balance, strength, movement, flexibility, and how well your body performs on your everyday basis. They can email me at spencer@spenceraiken.com, SPENCER at spenceraiken.com, SPENCERAIKEN.com. We can help them go from there.
Spencer Aiken, I love the way you roll. Thank you for your story.
Well,
thank you for your energy. Best of luck with everything.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Take care.